Wow, nice, nice, lovely. Yeah. And Viraj, this brings me to my next question because what has really changed post, because a lot of times bigger companies find it easier to cope with this whole lockdown and the business not coming in as usual, but mainly in point of view of an influencer business because I'm sure there are no shoots that are happening right now as they used to. Uh, what are influencers doing right now, and how's that affected your business?
So honestly, as a whole, the economy has crashed quite honestly, right?
Mm.
So the first thing that gets slashed are the marketing budgets.
Right.
So so that has already happened. But luckily for us, while we are a completely digital-led organization, that
Mm.
has actually helped us survive in this space as well. Because
Mm.
while there is no production, no heavy-duty production happening,
Mm.
a lot of those offline shoots have been cancelled.
Right.
A lot of live events have been cancelled.
Mm.
What's really still going on is the fact that brands are trying to leverage influencers
Mm.
because they are the ones who can create content still staying at home
Mm.
with their phones at their helm, right?
Right.
So that's what's happened. That we haven't seen an increase in business, I would say,
Mm.
but we are still getting sufficient amount of queries from brands to
Okay.
engage
Interesting.
influencers and talent that we represent.
Mm.
And we're also working and on the brand side as well, we work with a lot of brands that are in the uh, e-learning space,
Oh
that
yeah.
are associated with banks,
Mm. Mm.
that are apps for like mutual funds, stock
Mm.
markets, and things like that for millennials,
Mm. Mm.
gaming apps. So
Mm.
they're all still investing the monies because I mean the content retention right now is the highest that it's ever been, right?
Mm. Mm.
Everyone's stuck at their homes, everyone needs something to do,
Yeah.
and they're all resorting to their phones.
Yeah, I
No
feel
one's
like.
really having conversations with their parents, right? Come on, let's be honest, we're all still stuck to our phones.
True, true, true. Because I remember 5 to 7 o'clock. Okay, this is like the peak time on Instagram, where I think
Yeah.
almost every other influencer is live, right? I mean,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
true. On weekends, that's what I was speaking to one of my friends, and it's like how every Saturday there used to be a plan during normal times that okay, where are we going out?
Huh.
Are we going partying or whatever?
Huh.
Now the trend has become that oh, who are we going live with?
Yeah.
That's like 5 to 8 p.m. on Saturdays, especially. It's
Huh.
just like live, 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 live.
Right. Right. But I mean, this kind of opens up, I think, different opportunities for your business as well. I feel because in
Right.
the sense that I saw an ad recently, which I think a lot of these bigger superstars, the Bollywood superstars, kind of shot it at their home and they kind of compiled it together. I think Prasoon Pandey was the director and who kind of put
Right.
this together.
Was
Uh,
this for a brand?
this was for a brand. No, this was for as a public message. I think it was a
Okay.
public message. Uh, so a lot of these interesting kind of newer concepts are emerging where you kind of shoot and then you kind of collab with different influencers from different places, and so that's an opportunity for you guys, right? So I mean, to kind
No, absolutely. So
of,
I'll tell you, there's been so many new ways of content creation that have been invented or discovered, rediscovered during this time, right?
yeah.
So, for example, we represent a creator called Be Unique,
Mm.
and what he's been doing is he's always been pro collabs.
Yeah.
So during this like quarantine time, what he's done is he's creating a lot of videos which involves either video calling 5 other influencers,
Nah.
or what he's doing is he's taking clips from like 10 other influencers
Mm.
and cut and compiling them in one video and putting it out on his channel. So he
Mm.
recently put out this one video where he's having like a house party, okay, and
Okay.
everyone's grooving to the music, and
Uh-huh.
he just drops 2 beetroots.
Okay.
So it shows that oh, we've dropped a sick beat. So that's the kind of content we are creating, and 10 creators coming together, collaborating.
Right.
That's cool. That's the kind of content people want to consume these days, yeah. And even in terms of say like with Beer Biceps,
Yeah.
what we did is we collaborated with America's biggest fashion creator, Alpha M,
Okay.
purely on a remote podcast. So Ranveer does a lot of podcasting content, and we didn't know this could happen, right? So what we essentially did is we ensured that they did a Hangouts call with each other,
Right.
and they both had a DSLR camera behind their laptops.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so that recorded them in high-res quality, and the Hangouts call ensured the continuity of the conversation.
Nice. Nice. Nice.
So that did really well. So those are like really like good hacks that a lot of influencers are coming up with. And honestly, I feel that this is not going to be a phase now. I think this is probably going to be the new normal in some time.
Right.
It's true. I was reading this somewhere, right? That you probably now know that that meeting that you traveled, 2 hours in Bombay or Bangalore's traffic to
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
10 minutes is definitely not going to be worth it now.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
definitely something that can happen over a Skype or a Zoom call, you
Absolutely.
know.
Absolutely.
So stuff like that is, I think, is going to change. We are going to start taking our health more seriously, our family more seriously, and
Yeah.
we're just going to say no to like very rigorous like schedules. Ki, boss, no, why is my workplace 2 hours away one way?
Right.
Like
Right.
I
Right.
probably just work from home.
Especially in Bombay, I think because the
Yeah.
distances are so huge. And has Monkey always promoted this kind of a culture, like very flexible culture, working culture, or is everybody supposed to be in office, or how's the culture like?
So, so I'll be honest, man. We started with a very like let's be super flexible, and we are flexible from that perspective.
Yeah.
That we don't have super strict like, okay,
Mm.
if you don't come in by like 9 a.m. and you don't sit till like 6 p.m.
Mm.
in the evening,
Mm.
your salary will be cut and things like that.
Right.
But we realized, okay, cool, we're a creative company. Till the work is getting done,
Mm.
it doesn't matter how many hours one is putting in there, because
Mm.
like efficiency over just sitting idle like that.
Yeah.
So that is what we picked. But we realized that, okay, once you grow the company in size,
Mm.
it is important to put certain ground rules in place.
Right.
So if there is a time that everyone needs to be in office by, that is a time that everyone has to be in office,
Mm. Mm.
including the bloody founders.
Mm. Mm.
Because otherwise it doesn't work that way. You have to lead, you always have to lead
Yeah.
from the front.
Yeah.
You have to
Absolutely.
ensure that you are on time, you are on schedule.
Mm.
And it's okay if you're the last to leave, that's fine. I mean,
Mm.
that is a different case.
Mm.
But we've been flexible in terms of we do a lot of things in the organization, right? So there
Mm.
is talent management, there is social media,
Mm.
there's creative strategy, there's video production, there is
Mm.
influencer marketing.
Mm. Mm.
Now if someone I see has a natural zeal to negotiate better,
Mm.
but they've been working in the social media team, I
Mm.
will have a word with them, I will speak to them and see if this is like a zone they want to experiment with.
Okay.
If they're okay with, I am very flexible to changing spaces and fields like that.
Okay. Okay. Nice. Nice. Lovely. Yeah.
Yes, from a fluidity perspective in terms of roles, we're a very like flexible company.
Okay. Okay. And that's primarily also because you guys are. I think the average age is quite young, and
Yeah. So
this.
everyone is like keen on just learning right now that, okay, how is it that I can possibly crack a deal with a really big FMCG brand for one of our talents,
Yeah.
to going to, okay, how is it that I can create some really cool pop culture viral content for a dentist brand possibly,
Hmm.
to how is it that, okay, how can I make a person who was very popular in the yesteryears but
Hmm.
is completely averse to digital content and digital platforms.
Hmm.
So how do I bring their prowess back into the digital foray? So
Right.
it's a ton of things that we're also doing, and that we want our in-house talent, our employees to get a taste of.
Okay. Okay. Nice. Nice, Suraj. I think coming to a little more technical question, because I feel there are a lot of these influencer agencies that are popping up right now, right, in the circuit. So suppose there's Be a Biceps who charges an X amount for a post, right? Somebody quotes say about 50,000 for a post, where somebody quotes a lakh or lakh and 25. Why
Right.
such disparity in the influencer sort of this whole environment? So why and how can we sort of minimize this? Like you, because you
Right.
have primarily been in this space.
So what I feel is that honestly, this is happening because the industry is still very disorganized, right? Like there is no one criteria that one has to go through. Everyone is charging based on their whim. Every
Right.
manager, every agency is thinks that their talent is at the topmost
Right.
level, and they will charge accordingly. Which is in many cases the bubbles have started bursting now. You know, where because now brands have also started having so many options that okay boss, if you are not coming to me at a certain at a certain cost and providing a certain amount of views to me, there are like 10 other options that I have available, right? So that is also creating a lot more systematic approach in the influencer side of things, where managers are now realizing that boss, okay, if I quote a mindless price, there is a possibility that my talent will not be picked, which means I'm losing out on some sort of business, right?
Right.
So it's very important to identify how invaluable the talent is to the brand, how irreplaceable the talent is to the brand. Only in those cases you can charge a certain sort of premium, right?
Yeah.
And the premium can be, say, at best like 30% beyond what the client would be normally willing to pay, right? It cannot be 100% fee, it cannot be a 200% fee.
Right.
So those learnings, I think people in the industry are getting from either, you know, observing behavior in the West, or, you know, experimenting more with their own creators and with working with a host of agencies that work with brands for influencer marketing. So it's getting systematic slowly, steadily, and also it's been the space that okay, the space is very like tight knitted, right? So every manager of a top talent knows every other manager of a top talent. So they discuss, man. Okay, this is what I'm charging. This is what they're paying. Is it similar for you as well? What do you think we should do? So I see a lot more unity in the influencer space. That okay, boss, if the topmost talent from a brand and a viewership perspective is charging that much, that is something that can be considered as a benchmark.
Right.
And basis that, what genre do you fall into? What views do you get? What sort of brand loyalty? What sort of audience loyalty do you have? Based on a bunch of those factors, you come up with a figure for yourself, which is suitable, which is not too low, which is not too high, which is just about right.
Right.
And I think a lot of people in the industry have now started realizing that.
Yeah.
So outrageous costs were a thing maybe a year ago,
Yeah.
but they're not so much now.
I guess, but there are still some of these companies who think, you know, because
I think where that's coming from is also that there's a lot of, so honestly, what I think is that the entry barrier to creating an influencer agency is very low, right?
Yeah. That's
like it's not like starting a Bollywood agency, because there you actually need your connects.
Correct.
Yahan pe an influencer will very easily reply to your email.
Correct.
They will, the moment you ask them for some sort of cost and say that okay, this is a brand in this category that I'm pitching to, you may not even know the client, to be honest. You just have to say I'm pitching your name to this, and they will give you the cost.
So or somebody reaches out to you, for example, and charges an X amount on top of that, right? So that's also a model.
So now those, it could be a newbie or it could be someone from a different field. They don't know what commission is apt to charge. They might think कि boss, मेरे client के पास एक activity के लिए 5 लाख रुपए है और मुझे वो एक talent 1 लाख रुपए में मिल रहा है, for example.
Right.
Now if you go and charge a 4 lakh ka commission just because your client said he has the budget, like you would be stupid to think that that client is not going to go to 4 other agencies to inquire the cost. Now if he absolutely trusts you, then you are anyway doing it wrong, because then he's not going to come back to you for a second deal. If he knows that you charge 400% in commission, he's going to ask you to clearly fuck off.
Absolutely.
That's what's going to happen. Simple as that. And you know, like I said, the industry is very closely knitted. The costs are known to everyone, to be honest, in a way. So it's not like that industry will start getting more standardized.
But do you think there should be like a tool or some kind, you know, which is probably where all the influencers kind of upload their you know, rates and
the rates?
So do you think
so personally, I'm very not pro about a tech tool in this space.
Right.
purely from the perspective that this space really needs a lot of human interaction, right?
Right.
Because everyone wants to negotiate,
Mm.
right? May it be the brand, may it be the agency. From the brand side, may it be the talent manager or the agency from the talent side, or may it be the talent. So
Right.
there's 4 parties here, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
all 4 parties want the best for themselves.
Mm.
So there is so much negotiation and conversation involved.
Yeah.
You can't just be building a tool and saying, okay, this is my rate, now match it and make it happen. That's a very utopian situation, I feel.
Yeah.
So I think this inventory selling and buying will still continue in an old-fashioned method, where there will be. It's like I know so many agencies who have started these tools of theirs, right? That okay, cool. Now we have a roster of 2 million influencers reaching 1 billion people and all that crap.
Yeah.
Now, if they need a cause for some influencer that's on my roster, they will have to call me.
Right.
There is no way that deal is happening without having to call me or any other agency involved, right? From the talent side.
Right.
So creating a tool in that sense, I think is going to get difficult, but I definitely feel that there is room for more standardization in this process. Again, I'll come in from the perspective that there is no definite formula to collect to understand what money should you charge, because like I said that say a comedy content creator is going to charge way more monies than a fashion content creator,
right?
Because for example, comedy in many cases needs a lot more high production elements. You need more people on your sketch and things like that. As a fashion content creator, you don't need as many people. You don't have so many overlying costs. So which is why it could be possibly in better interest for you to charge lesser. And it's also comedy in general as a genre gets way more views than infotainment does.
Agreed.
So I don't think that there is possibility to create like a fixed rate that okay, boss, you should charge this much. But there can be a range that can always be developed.
Yeah, I think the range is fair, if you'd ask me as well. So I think the range is fair, along with some kind of an unifying platform which actually gives you an overview of whether you're not getting cheated. I mean, that's the only kind of
absolutely.
That's the only kind of a thing I'm looking at. Viraj, last question for you. I think in terms of, because a lot of them personally reached out to me and then asked them, okay, like how come he started his company at such a young age? What's the whole success formula and all of that? So any advice for these budding entrepreneurs, these students who are just getting out of college? I mean, because there's so much that's gone behind, in terms of hard work and all of that. Any key piece of advice that you would want to give them?
Bro, so honestly, my only takeaway from this whole journey has been that that keep grinding, man. Keep building more profits. Keep building more monies into the bank of the startup that you're trying to create, right? Only when you have money will you ever be able to survive any kind of crisis. Be able to be in a position to innovate and reinvest into the company, which would probably mean a lot more faster growth for the organization.
Right.
So those are things that only money can involve, and also hire better talent, right? I think in a space like a space that we operate in, the media space and the agency business, human resource is the biggest asset that any company can have. If you don't have that kick-ass graphic designer, if you don't have that kick-ass cinematographer, if you don't have that kick-ass script writer, copywriter on your team, at the end of the day, the service that you're providing honestly is quite shabby. So that is your real asset. So make enough bank, constantly figure out ways how is it that you are going to keep yourself profitable. Which does not mean that you scam people and try to take 400% profits in all cases. Right? When I say make bank, I say it in the most ethical and long-term, long-lasting way. Build relationships is always going to be the first principle of having a steady business. any services business, like,
Yeah.
because the guy will give you business possibly on the basis of your relationship. You may not even be the most efficient company that he knows,
Yeah. Yeah.
but because you're friends with that person and because you pulled a favor on him or something on those lines,
Yeah.
he will ensure that you get the business from a certain company. And you know that we've all seen that in
Yeah.
this space.
Yeah. Yeah.
So build your relations. Don't go for very short term profits.
Right.
See how over a 10-year period you're going to build your company
Right.
to a whatever valuation you want to take it, right? It could be a 10 crore, it could be a 100 crore valuation.
Right.
How is it that you're going to reach to that level instead of thinking कि यार मैं एक साथ 10 लाख रुपए बना लेता
Hmm. Yeah.
हूँ, फिर वो नहीं चलेगा.
There's no
So that
shortcut
is
in
what
this.
I feel. Yeah, there is no shortcut in it. Absolutely. And I have personally thought of working out some sort of shortcut, and trust me, that will only put you 5 steps backwards.
Ah.
So you don't want to get into that zone, and just keep your head down and keep working, man. I've
Right.
honestly only been like 3 years in this space. I have way too much to learn. So it's not in my place also to give advice per se, but this is what has helped me in this position, that I have always just kept my head down, celebrated the wins, but not gone crazy with the celebration. I've
Right.
just, gone back home, had a good night's sleep, or went out with a bunch of friends and stuff like that.
Right.
But that's it. Don't be in a long-term euphoria of celebrating a big win.
Yeah. Yeah.
Take a big win, get on to the next win. So that whole constant process of ensuring that you keep getting a lot of wins in your kitty is what is also actually going to build your bank eventually. And that is what will help you enable a lot more opportunities.
Right. Right. Interesting.
So
And
that's the goal.
Interesting. And I think, like you mentioned, also it's important to keep money in the bank, right? So how you kind of control your spends as a company as well is very important. Along with your projects, you'll have to also have your retainers as well, right?
Yes.
So that kind of helps in this kind of a scenario.
Dude, absolutely. I mean, earlier we were working purely on a project basis.
Yeah.
Like you rightly said, right? Influencer business was purely on a project basis. So we couldn't estimate what is the amounts that we could be raking in right now, as opposed to when it was a Diwali or an April month, right?
Yeah.
That's probably when the brands have more budgets to spend, so more monies would come in. But if you have a retainer business, you know for a fact that, okay, over the next year, you are creating certain amount of revenues that may be able to nullify a certain amount of expenditure on human resource or on rent or whatever it is. So that okay, now I need to build an X amount on top to ensure I have this as profits. So that mentality has always been on the top of our minds as founders. That's always helped us build more bank every new financial year. So I think that's something that's very important for anyone who's creating a bootstrapped startup. These days, to be honest, I think we are a huge rarity that we are a bootstrap startup. I only see
I
funds
must say.
and investments and VCs and all of that all over the place. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm saying that I definitely feel that VC money is important when you have to scale big time, and when you are a tech product especially. But otherwise, there is nothing else that you cannot do to fund your own dreams.
Business, yeah. So that being said, Viraj, so in the future, are there any? I mean, this is a bit of a controversial question. Are there any plans of selling your company, or maybe like say a year down the line, if you keep doing well? I mean, forget this year because this year is always good.
Of course.
But say the next year or so, a larger sort of a firm comes. Would you be willing to sort of take that step? And
so man, like the next 1 or 2 years will be like too short term for us, because we know that the kind of things we are trying to build, we would be much rather placed to get acquired 10 years from now than having to get an acquisition maybe 2 years from now. So I know that maybe I would be able to easily get like a 10x, 20x better return 10 years after hustling 10 years and building this organization into a big brand than just selling it in the next 2 years. So we don't have any specific plans as such. What we know is that constantly want to look at it from a year-on-year basis, ensure that there is at least a 30% growth every year-on-year that we move. So
Okay.
and that is in terms of acquiring more businesses, acquiring new talents, working with more brands. So
Yeah.
so that's always been the goal. So that's what we're doing, and so we're always trying newer sort of formats to reach out to brands, and
Yeah.
so to be able to get more talents on board.
Sure.
Always also trying to be on the verge of creating newer forms of revenues, right?
Sure.
It started only from one, which was talent management. Then we took on influencer marketing, social media, videos, all of that. So we've realized that it, it's not too difficult for us to branch out in a lot of the spaces that are in the media space itself. We're also planning to get into tech very soon. We're
Wow.
already working on a few tech
So take
products.
product space.
Yes,
Okay.
we're already working on a few tech products.
Nice.
So that's already in the works. I mean, luckily, quarantine has also been a blessing for us. We know we come from a place of privilege, but it has definitely been a blessing, man, because there's been a lot more time to ideate. There's been a lot more time to be creative with the thought. Otherwise, it's always we're on the run.
Yeah.
I have to travel like 2 hours one way, man. So I'm like exhausted as hell when I'm back.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thanks, Viraj. So thank you so much for taking time out on a Saturday night, late Saturday night, and sort of I mean talking about your company. And I think fabulous to know, man. There's so much work that you guys have put in, and there's so much possibilities in the influencer field as well. And guys, if you have any questions for Viraj, please do write in the comment section, and I'll be happy to pass them over to Viraj.
Yeah, for sure. I'd be happy to answer them. But thanks for having me, Khundmir. It was a great conversation.
Thanks.
Good chat. And I mean, it's a Saturday night during quarantine. I clearly don't have any place to be. But great chat, man.
Yeah, thank
Thanks
you.
for having me.
Thank you. Thanks.